brought up the WNBA. This is a basketball podcast, so my co-host would be mad at me. We didn't talk some hoops. So just pertaining the state of sports debate pertaining to basketball, especially with the WNBA that you brought up earlier, just with all the rhetoric and the discussion around Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese. Overall, do you think you could take it in terms of the NBA too, but pertaining to the basketball world, do you think it's in a good place or a bad place? What is your opinion of just sports debate overall when it pertains to basketball in particular?
Overwhelmingly positive. The WNBA has gained more traction over the last, we'll call it year and a half, or I'll modify that sentence. The sport of women's basketball, both amateur and professionally, has gained more traction over the last, I'll say, year to 2 years than any sport in America. And I would be willing to say that traction has increased by an order of magnitude in relation to the others. Caitlin Clark is Tiger Woods, not in terms of her level of popularity. I don't know that she'll ever approach Tiger Woods' level of popularity. But in relation to the sport in which she was entering, Caitlin Clark has had a Tiger Woods-like effect on ratings, on interest, on conversation, on opinion. And that in and of itself is an objectively great thing, regardless of where you stand in terms of where the dialogue is from the perspective of public discourse. Has some of it been ugly? Yes. Nasty? Yes. Unacceptable? Yes. But here's the thing. You're in the big leagues now. So this is what comes with the territory. The fact that people in our commentariat who would never have watched a WNBA game before now have an opinion is evidence of the fact. The fact that Angel Reese has an incredibly popular podcast is evidence of the fact. The fact that the WNBA has two individuals in Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese who are, regardless of whether or not they want to be, rivals is evidence of the fact. To me, the very best thing that you can have for a sport is this. You have a highly recognizable figure in Caitlin Clark who the world seems to love. You have a person in Angel Reese who is remarkably successful and good in her own right. And of the utmost compliment and credit to her is that she is willing to be herself and in some sense willing to be the villain, because so many people would change there are so many people in her shoes that would like to literally change who they are to avoid public criticism, and she chooses not to. I have an enormous amount of respect for both of those women, and I don't say this as an ESPN employee whose company is benefiting from the rivalry, from the rise. I see it as a sports fan who has absolutely loved getting into women's basketball over the last couple of years. There is no league right now in the United States of America that is ascending more rapidly than the WNBA, and those two women are the biggest reason why.
Where do you see the WNBA in terms of capitalizing on that momentum? That's a pretty huge statement. I mean, there's a lot of leagues that are ascending right now that, they have a positive momentum, and you to say that WNBA is number one on that list. What is kind of the key to maintain that momentum? Caitlin Clark she's going to be in the league. She's going to dominate. I think she's going to be a future Hall of Famer. I think, unless there's some kind of terrible injury or something terrible happens, her place in history, safely to say, I think it's going to be guaranteed to be great. Just in terms of capitalizing on that momentum as a league, where do you see, I think, as kind of those benchmarks for the WNBA to hit in terms of capitalizing on this momentum, 5-10 years from now, you think?
Candidly, the very best thing this league can do is stay out of its own way. Allow the public to tell you what they care about. Allow the public to tell you what matters. What the public has told you, what the public cares about, is Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and the rivalry thereof. The WNBA was ascending, was improving, was becoming more popular at a slow, steady, deliberate pace for a long time. Like Sabrina Ionescu, great player. Diana Taurasi, great player. Asia Wilson, historically great player. And this thing was going to happen eventually. They were just waiting for their champion. And that champion has come in Caitlin Clark. My recommendation to anyone involved is understand here. I'm not asking you to kiss the ground upon which she walks. I am asking you to acknowledge that she's the best way for you to become a millionaire, the best way for your league to explode. This is not my opinion. This is a statement of fact. Let's allow the data to tell us which direction to go. Caitlin Clark should be front and center in everything that the sport does, much like Tiger Woods was front and center on everything the world of golf did about 25 years ago moving forward. That's their ticket to ride. Caitlin Clark is your ticket to ride. Allow the data to dictate those decisions. Stay out of your own way and allow the league to naturally take shape. When you have a superstar, a generational superstar like her, all you have to do is allow the sort of natural progression to occur. And so long as they do that, in 5 years from now, there are going to be WNBA players making millions of dollars, and the league could have another 2, 4, 6, or even 8 teams. I feel very strongly in saying so.